10 Investigates Mike Deason looks into how hundreds of thousands of dollars intended to protect bus riders is being used to promote a tax hike for increased bus and rail service.
Philip lives at the beach and works downtown.
You're watching a Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority feel-good ad that you are paying for as part of a $500,000 Homeland Security grant to PSTA.
It's about this general idea of making the transportation system feel more safe and secure.
PSTA Executive Director Brad Miller says that's what the ads do. But PSTA internal documents and the Homeland Security website say the grant is one that encourages transit patrons to alert authorities if they see anything suspicious. I don't understand how the TV spots do that.
Mike, I understand your question. The DHS program, the public outreach component of it, is more than just about bombs and terrorism and police force.
In my opinion, they've crossed the line. They've abused taxpayer dollars.
Activist Dr. David McCaleb, who publishes the Sunbeam Times blog and is opposing a proposed Pinellas transportation tax called Greenlight Pinellas, says these PSTA ads are in reality promoting the tax.
To learn more, visit greenlightpinellas.com or psta.net.
And that appears to violate a law sponsored by former state senator Charlie Justice.
No government entity should be spending public dollars to advocate, tell voters how to vote on an issue, period.
Federal or state.
Any money.
The people around here know that this money was supposed to be used to educate the public to stop bus bombings, and instead PSTA abused it so they could promote their Greenlight Pinellas rail boondoggle.
And it's hard to argue with McCaleb when you look at these 3 TV ads paid by Homeland Security tax dollars, since the only mention of security concerns is
PSTA cares about her time and her security. Philip knows PSTA is providing him with safe and secure bus service and get them there safely.
nothing about suspicious packages, nothing about terrorists, nothing about bombs. How can that be?
Well, Mike, it's a good question. Mike, I think that's a good question. Mike, I understand your question. Mike, it's a good question.
That's what Miller kept saying over and over and over as he tried justifying the feel-good spots that are paid for with a $500,000 grant and intended to stop terrorism, but are actually directing viewers to the Greenlight Pinellas website.
Mike, I think we feel very comfortable with how the funding was used, and we would welcome any kind of review of that.
We contacted the Department of Homeland Security and asked if it approves of the way the money is being spent, but no one responded. Meantime, the General Accounting Office in this report has reprimanded the Department of Homeland Security for poor oversight and wasteful spending on grants just like this, which are intended for public education on fighting terrorism, but the money isn't always used for that purpose. In the newsroom, Mike Deason, 10 Investigates.
Well, new information tonight following a 10 Investigates report last month.
The Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority was critical of our story, which raised questions about improper spending of taxpayer money. Tonight, as investigator Mike Deason explains, PSTA is now returning thousands of dollars to the federal government.
It is very important that it be looked at.
That's what Congressman David Jolly said in regards to these PSTA feel-good ads paid for with Homeland Security money.
PSTA has professional bus operators.
According to PSTA internal documents, the money was supposed to be used to encourage transit patrons to alert authorities if they see anything suspicious and promote awareness of security issues. I don't understand how the TV spots do that.
Mike, I understand your question. The DHS program, the public outreach component of it, is more than just about bombs and terrorism and police force.
That is what PSTA Executive Director Brad Miller told us when we first questioned the use of Homeland Security money for the ads.
To learn more, visit greenlightpinellas.com.
And critics of a proposed transportation tax, Greenlight Pinellas, like Dr. David McCaleb, insist the ads were a front for promoting the tax.
In my opinion, they've crossed the line. They've abused taxpayer dollars.
But after our story first ran, the PSTA board and Miller blasted us for being off base.
And I've circled what the Department of Homeland Security approved the spending of those funds for.
However, in an email sent Friday morning to the PSTA board, Miller admits Homeland Security never approved the ads, and it was threatening to demand repayment. In the email, Miller says instead of waiting for the demand, PSTA is voluntarily paying back the federal DHS $354,000 that funded the program.
This money was supposed to be used to educate the public to stop bus bombings, and instead PSTA abused it so they could promote their Greenlight Pinellas rail boondoggle.
Meantime, in this email, PSTA Executive Director Brad Miller continues to defend the TV spots. He admits somewhere down the road, Homeland Security would force the agency to return the money. In their speculation, Miller didn't want that happening at the same time voters were going to the polls deciding on the transit tax. Mike Deason, 10 Investigates.
Well, new at 6 o'clock, calls for resignations for some top officials in charge of the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, PSTA. And it's all a result of a 10 News investigation about the misuse of federal funds. As 10 Investigates reporter Mike Deason explains, PSTA is now getting called out for not only misusing the funds, but lashing out at the critics who call them out.
As we've been reporting, PSTA was supposed to use the federal money to help protect bus riders from terrorists instead of promoting its transit tax, Greenlight Pinellas. The agency was forced to return $354,000 to the feds and could face federal criminal and civil charges. Opponents of the tax say those in charge abused their positions and need to go.
This government agency, the PSTA, has lost the trust of the voters because of its continued scandals relating to how they use tax money now.
However, neither the CEO, Brad Miller, nor the chairman, Ken Welch, have any intention of stepping down.
So my answer to you is consistent. Not only is the answer no, I will not resign, but heck no, I will not resign.
And despite the fact at previous meetings, the agency angrily trashed our stories, saying that it was misusing federal funds to promote the transit tax, Pinellas Greenlight, now it's admitting we were right.
That this organization made a mistake with the handling of that grant. The information that we had at our last meeting was not accurate.
Any organization makes mistakes. We have made mistakes, but we are learning from them.
But instead of losing support, both the chairman and the CEO got a unanimous vote of confidence from the board. In the newsroom, Mike Deason, 10 Investigates.
Now, these are not the only issues Investigator Mike Deason found out with the PSTA tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. Mike's investigating serious safety issues with the buses and how the PSTA tried to cover them up. New tonight, shocking emails uncovered by 10 Investigates show that the PSTA plotted to misspend a federal grant to promote its transportation ballot issue. And Congressman David Jolly is calling for Homeland Security to investigate. 10 Investigates reporter Mike Deason joins us live in the newsroom with the details.
Well, Reg, these are pages and pages of emails we obtained through a public records request that shows instead of using hundreds of thousands of dollars of Homeland Security money to make the buses safer, PSTA had a plan to advance its transportation initiative that goes to the voters next month.
It is a bit shocking.
Congressman David Jolly is talking about these emails 10 Investigates discovered showing PSTA CEO Brad Miller was lying when he gave this explanation on how the agency had used a $350,000 grant from Homeland Security.
It's about this general idea of making the transportation system feel more safe and secure.
That's what Miller was saying before he was forced to return the money to the federal government. That happened because our previous stories pointed out PSTA used the money for TV ads to promote an upcoming ballot issue called Greenlight Pinellas, intended to increase transportation.
This organization made a mistake with the handling of that grant.
While PSTA Chairman Ken Welch tried to pass off the misuse of federal money as an honest mistake, the emails show it was intentional. In this email, Director of Marketing Janet Recca explains,
we were able to leverage our federal grant dollars and further greenlight efforts.
In this email, Miller says of the ads,
they must have the Greenlight logo, and I insist on this and won't approve payment on anything else.
and once again, in an email, Miller is saying,
I know you, Janet, have heartburn about how this grant is being used. We can easily add some stuff about your beloved security.
and these emails show they knew that they were using the taxpayer dollars to do that.
In their words, they say they leveraged the grant money, essentially taxpayer dollars. They leveraged taxpayer dollars to promote Greenlight. That's wrong.
And this was last year. This is not tied to the Greenlight effort that's underway right now.
And while Welch tries to maintain the misuse of federal money is not about Greenlight, that is exactly what it's about. And Jolly is calling for the Department of Homeland Security to open an investigation. Once you get these emails, there is the smoking gun that we always talk about.
Listen, this should be looked at.
PSTA returned the money to the federal government, but in a letter, Homeland Security told PSTA even if the debt is paid in full, the United States does not waive its right to pursue any applicable civil or criminal penalties. And that is what could happen if an investigation is open. We posted all these emails on our website, WTSP.com. In the newsroom, Mike Deason, 10 Investigates.
Strong reaction today to 10 Investigates' discovery of emails that appear to show the Pinellas Transit Authority, PSTA, willfully misspent $350,000 of federal money.
Now, investigative reporter Mike Deason, who first broke the story, joins us from the newsroom with the very latest. Mike.
Dion and Reg, you might recall just last Friday we told you about more than 70 pages of internal emails showing PSTA had a plan to leverage that $350,000 that it was forced to return to the federal government. That happened because the agency used the money to promote its transportation ballot issue, Greenlight. Opponents say it is unacceptable, and they place the blame on CEO Brad Miller.
I feel that Brad Miller should just resign, but if Brad Miller won't resign today, I do think the board should go on ahead and make a motion and take action to remove him today.
Opponents of Greenlight Pinellas told the board over and over Wednesday that CEO Brad Miller must go.
Don't ask for Mr. Miller's resignation. Someone make a motion and remove him from office today. Right now.
But Miller contends PSTA did not knowingly violate the conditions of the federal grant nor try to illegally use the money to promote Greenlight in TV ads.
Those emails talk about logos at the very end of a 30-second ad. It
didn't talk about leveraging the federal money to promote Greenlight? There wasn't an email from Janet Recca that said that?
There was an email that did say that.
And Miller tried to downplay the internal emails we discovered because he says it's old news, despite the fact they just surfaced in our story last week. Why should you not be fired or face criminal charges for misappropriating $350,000 of federal money?
I know that you were very focused on these emails from a year ago, and I've already apologized for that. It was a mistake.
Opponents don't believe it.
The man knew what was going on. He doesn't care. He could come up for federal charges.
But the board members and Chair Ken Welch, all of whom blasted our initial stories, don't believe Miller intended to do wrong.
Our take is that it was an honest mistake. It was an unacceptable use of that money. You were right in your initial report. When we got the correct information, we did everything we could to make it right. We want to move forward as a board.
And by making it right, they had to give back that money. Now, the board is hoping a yes vote in 2 weeks will put this issue to rest. Meantime, some of the supporters of Greenlight privately tell me they're worried and say if the issue fails, Miller's handling of the grant money could be a decisive factor. To see our previous stories, go to our website, WTSP.com. We've posted them in the newsroom. Mike Deason, 10 Investigates.